Railtown's exciting journey into revolutionizing developer productivity. Join us as we redefine software engineering excellence. Our stellar partnerships enhance innovation, making Railtown the go-to platform for developer productivity and cutting-edge engineering solutions. The software developer market is booming. With 30 million developers and growing, our potential is vast and vibrant. We're targeting an enormous opportunity, $182 billion in developer tools by 2024, skyrocketing to $250 billion by 2029. The future is bright. Poor quality software costs the U.S. economy a staggering $2.41 trillion annually. Railtown tackles this massive, costly challenge head-on. 40% of engineering dollars are wasted on bad code and technical debt. Railtown dramatically reduces these costs, saving billions annually. Every UI bug costs Uber $2 million per hour. Railtown's innovative solutions mitigate such costly disruptions effectively. Manual mobile testing can't scale efficiently. Railtown provides automation solutions that significantly reduce maintenance time, enhancing productivity. A single software bug cost billions when millions saw the blue screen of death. Railtown solutions are your essential shield against such costly disruptions. Railtown operates on a robust enterprise SaaS model, metering data per seat, project, and month, offering flexible scalability to our customers. Security is paramount. Railtown proudly holds the esteemed AICP ASOC Type 2 certification, ensuring trustworthy and secure operations.
That's esteemed.
Our proprietary application general intelligence model, the Conductor, brings unparalleled intelligence and automation to developer productivity engineering. With deep application understanding, Railtown's Conductor continuously learns your system, enhancing efficiency and stakeholder insight effortlessly. Task automation at its best. Railtown boosts team velocity, minimizes technical debt, and vastly improves overall software quality. Adaptive learning means Railtown grows smarter with each interaction, ensuring constant improvement and alignment with evolving applications. Detailed monitoring and insightful reporting capabilities enable strategic decisions, empowering teams to achieve unprecedented productivity gains. Railtown uniquely integrates siloed data streams, tickets, DevOps, and logs to provide comprehensive, actionable insights, redefining software development clarity. Railtown's AGI Conductor is your constant ally, seamlessly handling routine tasks, resolving complex issues, and enhancing documentation with unmatched intelligence. Conductor 2 revolutionizes continuous integration and deployment, automating ticket generation, bug fixing, and infrastructure updates, boosting productivity exponentially. Conductor 3 elevates developer efficiency even further, pinpointing code errors early, suggesting instant fixes, and streamlining testing. Railtown transforms your entire development lifecycle. Thank you for joining Railtown's exciting mission. Invest today and shape the future of software engineering excellence together.
Oh, that was swell. That was swell. AI voice, did you hear it? Hi, good morning, good afternoon. I was going to take a long walk off a short pier this morning. Today, I mean. But it's really wet outside, so I'm going to go live and talk to you guys about what's coming up. Now, I will give my bias. I think that the announcement of the AIP deal is a huge breakthrough, gigantic breakthrough. I do acknowledge that we're in a technology space and that particularly with AI, uh, software, things move at a breakneck speed. Um, any group of engineers, any ideas, if you have a good one, someone else is going to have it. They can put their tools at work and perhaps not only catch up with you if you're a first mover, perhaps they can move past you. I acknowledge all that. However, I will tell you that it's my opinion, but it's not just something that I just make up out of hope. It's my opinion after, it's kind of like asking the audience in that show from way back when, in talking around, you know, there's a weakness. There's a weakness to my source of information. Sources, source plural, source of information, many sources, many talking, you know, just people that have their opinions, basically. Um, you know, we kind of all talk to ourselves because nobody is home. So there is a circularity, perhaps, in the thought process. Sorry, I'm just trying to clean up a little bit so I can be efficient in my presentation to you. I know I should have done it before I came on. I know all that. I got it. I know all my weaknesses. I'm very keenly aware of all my weaknesses, especially the fact that I'm not self-aware. All right. Get out of the way. So anyway, what I think is now ahead, now that the logjam has gone through, is we get to test my bullish case. I again just bullet pointing 2 or 3 points. I acknowledge the bear case. The bear case is this management couldn't even get this simple thing done. How do you expect them to build $1 billion company? The bearish case is this took so long, technology might have outstripped us. That's another one. And the other bearish case is, well, if it's so great, why isn't it showing up in the stock price? And I suppose one last bearish point would be we only have, 2 or 3 weeks of trading left in this year's market, and we've been in it, depending on when you first invested, we've been in it a year, over a year, and kind of that was our deadline, a year. Well, that's fine. I mean, that might be an artificial deadline, but I get it. A year's a reasonable time frame to test a thesis. I get that. So anyway, I acknowledge the bear side, but let me go with the bull side and try to address those issues as we go. Try to get some of the I'm not going to be able to remove the negativity or the negatives, but try to talk against them a little bit. I don't know how many. Okay, I'm sure people are watching football. I'm not a big football watcher. Yeah, I knew that. I knew that. Let me make sure while I have it still. I put my Wi-Fi on this. It's not hidden. Well, I put my Wi-Fi on a hidden network or something like that because I used to have it open. But anyway, what it does is it randomly uh, all right, my connections weren't working. Um, anyway, I switched to like a hidden Verizon network. Mine, it's mine, but it hides. Anyway, it it disconnects from time to time. So my anyway, it's too complicated. If I have this with me, it's not connected to my phone anymore, but it's also like right now, it was not connecting to uh, Verizon, so you guys could hear me. Um, anyway, um, let me see if I can show you this. I'm going to take these down. And let's just show you this chart. This is from the close on Friday. And over here, what I want to show you here, right here, is this. I mean, this in and of itself, it's not, hey, I better go buy it type chart right there. However, there's a couple of things here. One, they tried to sell it down, as I warned you. I guess it was just last Sunday. It's amazing how time goes by, but um, this sell-off didn't follow. It didn't follow through. They weren't able to sell it further. And I think the last 2, 3 days of trading, 4 days, have kind of on a short term, giving you a little bit of an uptrend. But most importantly, what happened Friday, they ran the stock up to the 15-day or I don't know what that green is, 20-day moving average, 20-day moving average. And that's exactly where it stopped. What happens is these are all, you're joining a market which is fake. And you're going to get fleeced in most stocks because the buyers and the sellers are the same institutions, and they're helped by their co-conspirators, the shorts and the hedge funds. And it's all computerized trading. There's no way in the world that our country, Canada, needs high frequency trading in stocks that would otherwise trade by appointment. It's a bastardization of our markets, paid for and lobbied for by Wall Street banks and attorneys. But anyway, the computers ran it up right at that 20-day moving average, and that's where it pulled back. Now, I think this is great. It fulfilled kind of my lackluster. Last Sunday I said that even if the news got done by Wednesday, which I guess technically it didn't, it got filed on Thursday. But Thursday was a holiday here. Anyway, the stock responded, but it, just like I was warning, it didn't do a skyrocket upward movement. Anyway, I think from here on out, for the next 2 weeks, 12 days before the annual report, that the trend is going to be up, 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 up. And I've become kind of cautious in my projections, which I'll show you. But I also will point out, if we break through this horizontal where my pencil is, I don't see any reason why it doesn't go much, much higher very quickly. And if I had a bigger chart, which I don't, one of the things I would do is, and I don't know if it's exactly how a guy like Lion of All Trades or somebody would do, or ARCA, but I would take each one of these squares from this high, July 15th, I'd count it across, and then I would count upward from where we break out, and I would say that's maybe 47. Well, if you want to be, I'd say 47.50 is a breakout, maybe 50. And I would count upward. So in other words, what I'm trying to say, the length of your pain here, the length of this downturn, all of this suffering that you put in good work on, I think it's going to be rewarded from the breakout, let's say from 47.50 cents, 48 cents. I think we'll have a period of time where we go up that'll have that. I'm not talking about weeks. I'm just talking about that many squares upward. Of course, this chart ends at 70 cents. So it's an algorithmic chart, or a logarithmic chart, sorry. So I don't know what it would mean in price. All I can say is you're going to be rewarded over the next weeks, months for your wait. But critically, what I'm trying to focus on is what happens in these next 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks until the annual meeting. If you come back to the middle of this chart where I circled in yellow, you can see that the stock collapsed around May. It's hard for me to read that. May 19th, maybe it says. Of course, I don't remember what was going on then, but the stock went down for 1, 2, 3 days, depending on how you count it. You could say 4. Well, it's similar to this. I mean, this is more days down, yes, but in terms of uh, depth of collapse and puncturing to the downside, it's similar. Well, when it on, I think that says May 19th, I can't tell. The next day, it snapped back up. Well, I would argue this is kind of like what happened here, kind of. It snapped back up, not maybe with as much upward gap. But in the middle here in May, this stock traded up to the 20-day moving average, to the 50-day moving average, took a couple of days there, and then broke through the 200-day moving average and made a sort of an intermediate high. Of course, the computers, and this is what happens, the computers test their ranges. As soon as you break through those points of resistance and it breaks through, the computers sell it off to see if that was just, a group of fellas after an all-night binge stupidly bought a bunch of stock and then went and took a nap, and they're not going to follow on with any more money. So it ran up, let's sell it down and we'll take that for our short account. It's just program selling. It's computerized, 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 computerized. So as it breaks through resistance, which is the 20-day, the 50-day, and the 200-day moving averages, and whatever made that run up at that time, they sell it off. The computers sell it off just to test it. And where do they bring it down? Well, they bring it down to the 15-day, the 20-day, and the 50-day, and the 200-day moving averages. That's where they bring it back down. Why? They're testing to see if, they're not thinking, it's just how they're set up. They're testing to see if what was resistance is now support. And they, in their dream world, they'd like to bring it all the way back down again. But I think the buying in the May was real, and they tested it, and they found out that the buying was real, and they stopped at the moving averages. And then it rallied to the highs of the year, as you can see. And I really can't remember why it peaked there. Was that there must have been some news. Maybe it was AIP, maybe it was rumor of AIP or something, a Reddit rumor. Anyway, it made those highs. And then we've been in the trenches ever since. We've just been slogging in the mud and being forced backward by the mechanical selling, the mechanized troops that are coming at us. And we finally were nearly at our breaking point. Well, my point is, let's get back to the positive. If you take that circular, that oval in the middle of May and put it here, it's not exactly right. But I'm going to guess you're going to get a couple of days at the 200-day moving average and maybe 1 or 2 days up here at the 20-day moving average. So you'll go up, it might go aside a little bit, and then we're going to bust through it. And they'll do the same crap. We'll bust through it. They'll try to sell it down. But if we can recognize that that's what they're doing, I think that's their last bite at the apple. I really do. So they're going to do that over this week and maybe next week. But I think the trend's going to be up. Down here, right down here, the MACD is turning upward. It hasn't crossed yet. But when it crosses, this will go up. I find the MACD is always, I find it a bit of a lagging indicator myself, but anyway. So what I'm trying to say is that just like in May, where the stock was just punished downward by computerized trading, and then it got out of its range. The computers got out of their trading range, and whoever was buying was like, oh my God, what's wrong? And the stock broke down. Well, it took, I don't remember now, I just had it up 2 or 3 days, but suddenly it snaps back a little bit. It takes 2 or 3 more days, and then it starts moving upward. I think that's what can happen here. That's the technical. Fundamentally, the company has 12 trading days until its annual meeting. And I think, if I'm correct, and remember, I'm acknowledging that there is a bearish argument. I am acknowledging that. But if I'm correct, and it's not about me either, it's just my point of view, I would guess that the company's going to come out swinging tomorrow. And also, let me be clear, I've called into it as much as I can. I have not spoken to anybody that's given me any idea about what I'm about to say. I have no idea. But I try to put myself in Corey's mind, and I just use his name as shorthand for the whole group, because they're all involved. But if I were Corey, and if I'm dead serious on this, I'm going to come out of the gate tomorrow. And part of my argument is that the AIP deal being closed unleashes buying. Why? Because the documents that institutions or insiders or large investors may have signed, but they don't need to have signed, acknowledging that they may have been in receipt of material, non-public information, prevented them from buying until the AIP deal closed, or shortly thereafter. I mean, it may take, depending on their legal counsel, may say, you know, you better not do it for 48 hours or 72 hours, because they want to be really careful that in the future that a class action lawsuit or a regulator doesn't come back and void all their trades. So they'd rather pay more, make sure they're clearly out of the window of restriction on their buying. Well, that's all fine. I'm saying that it's the AIP deal that restricted them. But what if, and I'll try to show it to you, but there's probably already too many comments there for me to go there. So I'll show it to you here for now. What if those same insiders were involved in meetings and conversations that and they were aware of, for example, a Mavericks or an Omers, they were aware of this shared revenue. AIP, Railtown, TELUS. Well, it may be that that information needs to be fleshed out before the restriction on buying is made ineffective or inoperable, because I would argue that's a huge deal. And to have it appear in a company presentation, it's good, but it's not enough for full disclosure of that information. I don't know if what the regulators would require up in Canada to satisfy the requirement of full disclosure. So to me, that would be the next thing Corey's going to focus on. Let's get that out the door. Let's discuss our revenue sharing agreement with TELUS. That would be on my number one on my list. Number one. Now, the problem is TELUS is almost a socialist, communist government organization. Very much into social issues and other things. So I might be wrong. That might not be able to get done Monday. But if I had to guess, and if Corey has any kind of relationship with TELUS, he better darn well get that out Monday morning, tomorrow morning. I don't think if it were to come out tomorrow, that would make the stock rocket upward, but it'll go up 5-10 cents. There'll be a little churning maybe. There was buying, by the way, on Friday up in Canada. So a friend of mine, Patient Swings, said to me, how did he say it? First the volume, then the move. Yeah, I think that's right. Up in Canada, they churned through a lot of the sellers, and the buyers, I can assure you, the real buyers, not the computerized ones, the real buyers, they didn't buy it for a day trade. They didn't buy it for a swing trade. They're in it. So all that stock they bought, it's bought, and it'll remain so. So anyway, I expect tomorrow, I have to emphasize, I have spoken to no one. No one has spoken to me. I've made all my efforts. I've made my phone calls daily. I just can't get anything. But I'm going to project anyway that tomorrow we'll hear about TELUS's revenue sharing deal. Now, if I'm wrong, it's not the end of the world. Why? Because TELUS is a quasi-government, think DMV, think Department of Motor Vehicles. That's kind of how they are. Slow. Let's have a meeting. How do you feel? Great. Nice to meet you. Let's reconvene tomorrow and we better get this one out on the, on the, you know, whatever everything we're doing down in Costa Rica, whatever thing we're doing up in the Northwest Territories. Let's get those out first. Oh yeah, and we've got the one where we're gonna, save baby seals. Let's get that one out. So that's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Why Thursday's a good time to get the revenue deal out. I mean, their thinking's all back assward, as they say in the South. But subject to delays from TELUS, I believe Corey, and if he has any pull at TELUS, will make sure number one priority is to discuss in a PR this revenue, shared compute revenue. I think once that's done, we may be at the point where material inside information restrictions on buying are lifted. But there also might be, and we do not know, I do not know, but there also may be other deals of various sizes, but conceptually, there could be large deals or medium-sized deals in the pipeline that Corey's been working on for the last 10 months. That would be great too, if he got those out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So it's all by way of saying, I'm not 100% sure that the AIP filing a PR piece, completion of the deal all by itself is going to allow for these larger firms, wealthier people, and insiders to start buying yet. But it's coming. It is coming. So priority, if I were Corey, get the TELUS revenue deal announced, or any other deals, any other discussion with revenue. Sorry, with TELUS. Get it announced to satisfy the regulators. Secondly, and get rid of the restriction on buying. Secondly, anything in the pipeline that's also of that nature, get that out there. And thirdly, I would just start announcing my revenue deals. There is a fourth thing that I think Corey has to do, but it'll take more time. I think he needs to convince at least guys like me who are out in the netherworld of investing compared to Vancouver and the insiders. But I think he needs to make sure the world knows that Railtown is first to market, best in class, and can kick Lang Chain's ass. And maybe he's got to call up Sequoia and say, "Hey, pal, you keep talking about Lang Chain, but you better know something. We were there first. We're better, and we solved the problem in XYZ way. XYZ, I don't know what they say up there. XYZ way that is better." And I think that's going to be his job as well. But anyway, so I think Monday, fingers crossed, we'll start the flow of news. Hopefully enough comes out about TELUS, enough comes out about the pipeline that maybe by Wednesday, buyers can come in, or maybe by Thursday, buyers can come in. There's one other caveat to buyers coming in. Well, there's two really, but you know one of them already. A lot of these buyers can't buy under $1, can't buy under $2, can't buy under $3, can't buy under $4, can't buy under $5. So, hey, there's the business plan on the criminal side. There's no buying. Why don't we just constantly sell? It's inexcusable how the markets are set up. But the other thing is, it's possible. It's not only possible, it's highly likely that you can break down the buyers in Canada broadly into those who know the Railtown story and those who dig. The rest of them have to get informed. So there's the Ulmers, the Mavericks, the insiders, and the big investors at Railtown. Same with AIP, same with the network companies. But the only investment bank that really knows this story right now is Canaccord. I'm sure this stock's still on their restricted list. I don't know it. It's just my opinion. But I don't see any reason why they would be take it off their list. Yeah, they might Monday. I don't know. But Canaccord has a sales force, institutional and retail, and they might need a research report. That's my other thing. Beyond the releasing of news and full disclosure that lifts buying restrictions, I think you're going to need to see some research reports. Logically, the first one you're going to see is Research Capital. They have an outstanding opinion on the company with a $2 target from July 2nd, 2024, 2000 United States. But they're probably in a bit of a situation at Research Capital where they have access to material, non-public information. So to the extent that they have institutional following or even retail following, they can't talk about what they know. That's the big breakthrough with AIP closing the deal. It's gigantic. But it might also be that TELUS revenue deal, anything involving TELUS that was not, I mean, that press release was kind of like, hey, we did something with TELUS, which is great. It's huge, but I'm not sure it's enough to lift the restriction on buying. And these guys are probably, the whole company's probably in that same boat. But as soon as the restriction caused by not getting material, non-public information out into the public sphere is over, I think the first research you'll see is from here. They already have a $2 target. And I ask you, have things gotten worse since they made this target? They use a 12x multiple. They use a 3% penetration into a $3 billion market. Have things gotten worse? I have a feeling this number, I mean, if I were doing it, I probably wouldn't go much higher. And then I'd update. But they also want to be first. So I expect this number will become obsolete. and you might be looking at a $5 or $6 target. I don't know. We'll see. So research next week. I would expect that Research Capital will come out with research next week. That's my opinion. Now, I'm predicating that on any full disclosure on TELUS comes out Monday, but it could be Tuesday, Wednesday. Remember, there's a caveat. It might need TELUS's action, and up in Canada, things go rather slowly. But once it's over, research from Research Capital. Research from Research Capital. My second source of capital, unless they're upset with them, what I think would of research, second source of research would be Canaccord Genuity. I would save that for the following week, not this week. So if I have to guess, and that's all I'm doing, I think Research Capital will come out by midweek with their research. I bet they'd want to come out now. The only thing holding it up is the Railtown and the company and TELUS have probably, in my judgment, further material information to disclose. Once that's disclosed, you're going to see research from Research Capital. And then I think next week, Canaccord. And then next week, I think you'll start for sure seeing buying interest come in. That's my guess. I mean, it's a prediction. It's a prediction. All right, let me go to your points. And hey, D. Waters, how are you? Hey, Fast Eddie. Hey, Jeff. And hey, David. David present. Hopefully everyone well. Oh, thank you, David. That's great. I'm going to take a second right there. Thank you very much, David. I'm going to put up my Venmo. I'm in a situation where just keeping my Verizon on, my phone on, just paying some of my bills, I need some help. It's not like I'm collapsing, but I just got to bridge a transition. So to the extent, I'd much rather that each of you put your money into Railtown, but I'm going to put up Venmo to the extent that anybody feels like, is it called donating? Helping me out. I struggled with asking, but I think it's important for me to be live for the next 2 weeks until the annual meeting. That's December 17th. I think it's far more beneficial for all of us for me to remain in that status than do some other things on my list, which I'll start probably after the annual meeting. I am going to try to go to the annual meeting if I get a call back from the company that says it makes sense. Like if I have a meeting with the top guys, or if they can give me a tour of their offices, I can meet the software engineers, I can be given a presentation. I might have to sign a non-disclosure, but I can see it. I may not be able to talk about it. If something like that happens, I'll definitely plan on going to the annual meeting. But whatever you do, let me show you if my Venmo is here. I don't know. I was going to start tomorrow. It's probably not even here. It's not. So, yeah, I might have to ask tomorrow. Or if I have it here, I'll just send it to myself right now. And then show it in a second. Me. Wallet. I don't know how to do it. There it is. I guess I can send it to myself. And then when it arrives, I'll show it to you in a second. But I can also show it right now. Maybe that works. Look at that guy. He was such a good guy. He was such a good guy. He always tried to be good. I'll bring it up later, and I hate to do it, but if I don't pay the Verizon, the phone, it'll all shut down, I think, as soon as Tuesday. And so that I don't want to go through more than that, because the Boo Bird guys will plaster it around the internet. But I have not made it a habit of asking for money, and it's a little embarrassing to do so. But anyway, I would appreciate and greatly receive any help, but it'll allow me to keep going through the annual meeting, which I think the next 2 weeks are going to be intense with news and events. And I actually think the stock can get to that 350, maybe more, but I think it can get to 350 over the next couple of weeks. That's not, that's optimistic. I actually, I haven't changed my other predictions, but I'm far more conservative just because of how much time it took to close the AIP deal, and the vacations and the destruction technically. I would have to say, a much more realistic target is we'll get to 50, 60, 70 cents. But let's see how it plays out. Anyway, let me move on. Thank you very much, David, for that help. That was great. Hey, Donna, good Sunday to you as well. David Hensley, Railtown Plan A is Plan A for retirement. The book of John, chapter 14, verse 1 through 3 is Plan B. John 14, 1 through 3. The King James Version, the New International Version, the New Womanist Version, the Catholic Version, the Ethiopian Version. John 14, 1 through 3. Do not let your hearts be troubled. You believe in God, believe also in me. My Father's house. See, that's the New International Version. Let me just see what the Catholics say. I think this is Catholic. Do not let your hearts be troubled. You have faith in God. Have faith also in me. That's one. Two, in my Father's house there are many dwelling places. If there were not, would I have told you that I am going to prepare a place for you? And three, and if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back again and take you to myself, so that where I am, you also may be. I think that's the Catholic. That is the Catholic reading. Well, maybe it'll be both, David. Maybe you'll have your retirement and your salvation. Uh, Hi, Julie. How are you? Hothead. Sounds like me. I hope all's well with you. Jack Hamilton, how are you? Oh, I think this is updated from our last discussion. We have 15,566,000. I took off somebody, I forget who it was now. But so we're at 15.5 million, which is really an important, um, if we kind of stick together, that's we're as big as any. Well, I only think Marwan and uh, Corey have a larger position than we do collectively. Um, Maybe in that one never knows, do one, on how it breaks out at AIP. There's a lot of stock given to them. So they probably have more than we do too. Dr. Core and Mike Nobrega and John Ruffalo. But I don't know. You can't. I'd say we're still in the top five, if not the top three, of holders if you take our number collectively. Of course, it's not the most accurate number, but as good as we can do. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with these um, names. It might be in my settings. It might be in my settings. I don't know why it would be changed. I'll try to fix it, Jack. I don't know how to, but I'll go in there and see if I can. Um, hey, Silver Skyrocket, how are you? Jack Hamilton, I will catch up on the football scores later. Railtown talk comes first. Your name may be changed because of how it's always possible that there's some setting button I have to, but I don't think it would be. I didn't change anything, so I don't know. I'll after we sign off, I'll go to the settings and see if I can see what's going on. Justin Babish, hot topic in politics has been the impact on the power system in local areas where huge data centers are operating. Water also. I have a chart somewhere. I'll write that down. If I don't find it today, I'll try to find it for tomorrow. Um, I think it was research from JP Morgan. But actually, on both issues, um, there's other industries that have much higher demands on our resources than data centers. But they're new, and our grid and our power structure. China has. I think China has problems, but China has been building coal plants, nuclear plants, natural gas plants, geothermal. They've been building their electric grid for the idea that they're going to be an industrial powerhouse, but they're also building it for AI. We've just been lobbing bombs in deserts and sending our troops to assault mountains on behalf of an interloper in the Middle East, as a country, and perhaps on behalf of the banks, whether it's the New York banks or it's London, I don't know. But we've just, since the Popinjay was president, and I think he didn't win that election, either one of his elections, but I don't know what the alternative would have been. But at least I don't think we would have implemented the new American century under Victoria Nuland, Robert Kagan, Dick Wolfowitz, Cheney, a couple other names. I don't know if Rumsfeld had done his mea culpa by then or not. But George W. Bush put in place a squandering of our nation's resources for naught, both financial and human lives and health, just so he could be a tough guy. And I don't know what was going through his alcoholic, cocaine-addled brain. But it set the United States on a path of 25 years of useless spending. You tell me what we got out of it. During that time frame, the Soviets built hypersonic missiles. They can take out our aircraft carrier groups. They built air defense systems, portable, that can send 20 or 25 missiles out at the same time, defending against tanks, cruise missiles, jets, and I believe they're more effective than our Patriot missile systems. I don't know that, but they built up their gold reserves. They built up their industry. They built up they brought Christianity back in. They built up their government procedures. Maybe we would say they need to have more elections, but I don't see that our elections are all that democratic anymore. There's a lot of cheating that goes on. I think it's pretty safe to say that, and it's going to be tough in the midterms. But what did we get out of it? Our weapons, as far as we know, are behind on the hypersonic missile side. Maybe we have lasers, maybe we have other things that we, don't know about. But we've got, hundreds of 4 and 5-star, I think even 5-star generals. We're just top heavy with costs, with wokeism, with idiotic policies. And China, in the meantime, they've built up their Navy. Is it as good as ours? Probably not, but they got a lot of ships. And they have the hypersonic missiles. They built up, they walked down our jet under George W. Bush. So they now have the stealth technology. I don't know. What were we thinking? We gave the airport just a tremendous base in the heart of pipelines, resources, trade, and other geopolitical issues, and oil. We had that airport, we just gave it away. What did we get out of Iraq? What did we get? I mean, anyway, I don't want to, I suppose it's political, but the fact is, once George W. Bush decided to give gigantic tax breaks, we got to give the people their money. And then to attack a country that did not have anything to do with what happened on 9/11. And you might be surprised which country did, but I'm not going to get into that. Since he made those decisions, the United States has spent $20-25 trillion in just throwing money away. Now, Obama joined in. I mean, Obama bombed every day for 2 terms. No other president's been at war for every day of 2 terms. Obama bombed so much, we ran out of bombs. He destabilized with the help of the so-called most talented person that ever ran for president, Hillary Clinton. He destabilized Libya. But right in the middle there was a banking crisis. And certainly Bush did nothing about it. This sucker's going down. He brought in the bald guy from Goldman Sachs, said, hey, take a look at all the books. If you want to front run the trades, front run them. And then Obama came in. He didn't do anything. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So Wall Street and the military, we squandered 20, 25, 30 trillion dollars. What do we have? What do we have? You can make it political, but what did we get for that money? Did we spread democracy? Are things better in the Middle East? Do we have more access to oil? Is our military prepared to fight 2 or 3 wars at the same time? Do we have hypersonic missiles? Are we ready for the war of this century rather than still living in the war plans of World War II? I don't know. But ultimately, Justin, one of the things that suffered is our electric grid is horrible. Our electric grid just cannot sustain the some of these pressures that will be asked of it. But there's a lot of the data centers I showed you the chart. A lot of them are being built in and around Texas and other states that have a lot of natural gas. And Virginia isn't a huge oil and gas state, but Pennsylvania has, and some in West Virginia, has enormous reserves of natural gas. I don't think we should be sending them to Europe. I think we should keep them here and let Russia supply Europe. But, again, that think tank led by Victoria Nuland and the other guy that ran state, they decided to blow up the pipeline. Well, again, does it help us? Who does it help? It helps the banks. It's going to help BlackRock. It's going to help Jared Kushner. Jared Kushner, after I'm dead and gone, will be one of the billionaires of the world. He's going to redevelop Gaza, redevelop Ukraine. Why? How does that help the American taxpayer? But anyway, I think that power issues are exaggerated. They're not wrong. It's just that we're not prepared for it. Our grid isn't prepared for it. But we can fix it. We should stop sending our natural gas to Europe. We should build in situ natural gas power plants and pipe our natural gas into power plants that are adjacent to the data centers. That's the answer. And that's what they're doing. They're going to do down in Texas. But that's the answer in Virginia. In terms of water, it doesn't use as much water as you think. If you want to know what's going to use water and destroy it for generations, not generations, forever, is nuclear power. Nuclear power demands water resources. And every plant on the planet releases radioactivity into the water. And the solution for pollution is not dilution as it relates to radioactivity. It concentrates in the food chain and it comes up to us and it changes DNA. Then you're going to have people that look like all those creature people in Blade Runner. But anyway, I think the United States does have a problem with its electric power grid, and it needs to be addressed. I think you're right. In Virginia, that's making prices go up, and then Trump wants to turn on nuclear power. I think geothermal and natural gas could do it. I don't think we have to subsidize a money-losing industry that, by the way, Justin, I don't know I forgot where you live, but I watched a video, it popped up on I couldn't sleep last night, and it was a guy in the middle of the country somewhere. It was 2 years ago. I can't quite remember. I'll look it up. I'll play it for you tomorrow. But I've been asking people, and the reason I clicked on it, his title is "Where Have All the Birds Gone?" I don't hear birds anymore. So I ask you, do you notice that birds are missing? He said, why is it? Have they flown away? my answer is it's Fukushima. It's the radiation from Fukushima getting into the atmosphere, coming over, and they're dying. But I could be wrong. I mean, that's outlandish theory unless you realize that radiation has been going up into the troposphere every single day, every night since March 11th, 2011. And it travels here in 3 days, but now it's just continuous. And it'll settle down in the rainstorms and all that. Anyway, that's a long answer to your question. I think it's solvable. I don't think it's an issue without an answer. I do think it requires a commitment of resources. I do think it means policy changes. And I don't think the water issue is as big as some of the alarmists say. Virginia has a lot of water. Texas, I don't know. Depends on where you are. But Virginia has a lot of water. Justin, can RT show that running on their tech platform is more energy efficient and benefits savings on the local system? Well, I think they can make an argument to the network companies that they now are the titular head of, well, at least of the association, the network. They can make the argument that moving to Telus's data center is energy efficient, and I don't know where the video is, but I can play. I'll find it again for you, just not right now. Telus's AI factory is green energy all the way, and I forget if it was natural gas. I think it's geothermal, but anyway, it's all about green energy, and the cool weather up there keeps the place. You don't need as much energy to cool the facility, apparently. And it's been built to be gentle on the environment. I'll try to get the video. I've played it for you. I just don't remember all the particulars. But to answer your question, I think the Telus data center does answer. It would move pressure locally up to Canada. Would Railtown help other companies? I guess by being efficient. I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer. Justin Babish. Revenue sharing deals with data centers across the board? Well, yes, I think that would be the case. But I think that'll be for the next management team. I think Corey's, all right, let me say it this way, Justin. If Railtown wants to be a unicorn, they want to be the next OpenAI or the next NVIDIA at the extreme, you're right, they could do all that. But it's my judgment that NVIDIA's goal, Corey's goal right now is to ramp up revenue and show the path, prove the concept, so to speak. And I think he's going to be focused on moving and putting all of the revenue through the TELUS facilities. But yes, he could negotiate elsewhere, absolutely, particularly if his piece is critical. But I really think the company's going to be purchased by Microsoft. That's my own idea. No one's told me that. I think it's going to be purchased by Microsoft before they get into having to build an administrative staff and legal teams to negotiate data center after data center after data center. I just think the company will be sold before it comes to that. But yes, that is another source of revenue. But Justin, I think you're going to find that Railtown has massive sources of revenue, such that even because I think your idea is brilliant, but even that idea will be way down the list on what they need to do. David says, "Give Will a tip. Guy does so much." Yeah, get your hair cut. That's a good tip. Thank you, David, for the support. Ward Richardson, good afternoon, William and RT crew. I agree with you on Corey should come out swinging tomorrow. I was a bit surprised that Corey did not come out swinging last Friday. Well, again, I think we can observe without being biased that at a minimum, they don't have the manpower, the woman power, the human power to address everything all at once. So they've got to finish their annual report probably by the end of the month. So they got the AIP done, but maybe they're working on their financials and annual report. I don't know. I don't know how much work goes into that. It might not be all that involved, and it certainly wouldn't involve Corey. But that's one thing. Secondly, he still is probably somewhat constrained by the AIP deal clearly was something that had to close to break the restriction on buying. But when you think about it, why? Everybody knew, I guess, two things we now know: how many shares and that it actually closed. So bravo. But what else might be missing? I think it's discussion of that TELUS revenue sharing deal, but it's also discussion because remember, AIP companies are going to move to TELUS. It's a discussion of what is that kind of revenue package, and it might be a discussion of what's your roll-up strategy going to be. I don't know, but from a regulatory standpoint, to get the blessing that yeah, you've done your job in full disclosure, I'm not sure that filing and announcing on Thursday gave enough time for Corey to come out on Friday. But I think tomorrow is enough time. All weekend, plus Friday. I think tomorrow or Tuesday anyway is enough time. So I wasn't really surprised that nothing happened Friday. But yeah, Ward, I really hope there's a rollout. My dream would be they have an announcement about the TELUS revenue deal. Then on Tuesday they have an announcement about, I don't know, maybe should they do them separately? Maybe, but just put them all out on the same day. 5 or 6 deals that have been backlogged, just put them out, and I hope they can talk about revenue. And I don't know if there's, there could always be, Ward, other transactions beyond TELUS, which would require a restriction on insider and others buying for material information. So I just hope he just starts it Monday morning and it just starts flowing out and he doesn't hesitate. I hope he doesn't drag it out. Maybe each company has to be a separate PR, but I would hope over the next 12 days that he has fully disgorged, just flooded the market with everything he can say, if it exists. And I hope it starts tomorrow morning. And like using your term, I hope he comes out swinging 8:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. Ward Richardson, William, do you think they'll get the revenue out before December 17th? I do think they'll get their annual filing, their annual report finished. Do I think there'll be revenue in there? It's kind of weird if they don't have some revenue, because they've been beta testing and they've been signing up. They've announced, I don't know about signing up, they've announced some of these relationships. But maybe all of that was waiting for AIP to close. So I would think the annual report would have some revenue, but very small. If there's none, it wouldn't surprise me. I don't think, if I were running the company, and you're not allowed to manipulate it, but I would slow walk my revenue, because any revenue for their year end September 30, so I guess that's 2025. If you could throw 500,000 in revenue or $1 million in revenue for 2025, it's meaningless. It doesn't mean anything. I would try to slow walk everything into this quarter and then have a bang up their first quarter, have a bang up first quarter and second quarter. That's what I would do. So anyway, I don't think the annual financials will show much revenue. No, my answer to you is no. I don't think the company is going to disclose revenue to the public. They may disclose it in I don't know how it works at institutional meetings. I don't know why it would be fair that institutions could see information that the public doesn't. But it happens. It happens. And it maybe is, Scout's honor that you won't trade on it. But I think one bridge between institutions seeing revenue projections quietly, not out to the world, and retail seeing it, one bridge is research. So I think what's more likely by the annual meeting is you'll have 1, 2, 4, maybe more, but I'd say 1 to 4 or 5 or 6 research reports I don't know how many. I think Capital Research, I think Canaccord, and there's two or three others. TELUS has about a dozen analysts, but they're not all. Some of them are telecom, but some seem to be interested in AI. So I don't really know, but I, I'd say there'll be a handful, could be a handful of research reports out by the annual meeting. And it's in those that you'll see revenue projections. I think the analysts will make revenue projections based on what their discussions and what they see with the company, but also on their models and the industry. And that, I think that would satisfy letting retail know about revenues. If your question is, do I think they'll announce enterprise sales agreements by the annual meeting? Yes. Will they announce their pipeline? Yes. Will they maybe, I'd say almost certainly, put out presentations that discuss broadly their markets and their targets? I'd say yes. But I don't expect the company to be specific on revenue from any one contract or give specific targets. I could be wrong, but that's my gut instinct based on what they've done so far. And so I guess to summarize that, Ward, I think you'll see the annual report or whatever they call it. I think you'll see the pipeline disclosed and deals disclosed, but I'm not at all sure the company's going to talk about revenue with any of those particular deals. It will be left to Capital Research or Canaccord or others to talk about revenue, I think, which is fine, because the sales forces up in Canada, unlike down here, they actually do have retail and institutional salesmen, salespeople who talk about low price stocks. So that'll be fine. That'll be good. Ward, William just sent you the answer to Justin's question. I can't get it. I'll have to answer it tomorrow, but I wrote it down. Did the Redskins just score a goal? I'm hearing cheering. David Hensley, we'll pay $10 a month or whatever. Won't have to fight the shills anymore. I don't know how to do that, but I could look that up. I can look that up. I hate even asking, but I've got to have a plan to move forward, and I have a plan on how various things I'll do, and I think creating income stream or streams, but I can't get anything done between now and the end of the year, and I've just got to make that gap. I don't know, kind of. Well, anyway, this is one of the things I can do, is ask for donations, I guess, or ask for Venmo. I have a list to go down. It'll be very short, but I'll go down it. But that's a good idea, David. That's a good idea. Um, uh, I don't even know Huston Wade. I don't even know who it is. But let me see how the Redskins are doing. They're not playing, so I don't know who was cheering over there. No idea. And oh, the Redskins play tonight. Okay. I guess they're watching the. There's a few games. I don't know who they're watching over there. All right. I had some other things to show. Just have to get them. I showed you that video. That came, Derek sent that to me. Who are they watching? They are cheering for somebody. The Dolphins? The Rams? The Texans? The Bears? I don't know. I don't know who they're cheering for, but they are excited. There's so much suffering out there. This mother lost all 3 of her children on Thanksgiving Day. And I think I have problems. Okay, so this, I just played it for you. And so we don't have to focus on it terribly, but I'll go through the slides I took of it. The addressable market right here for Railtown, 30 million. And if we just use that number, $30 million. Sorry, that's not the dollars. That's the developers. But you'll see why I said that, because AI is changing this very quickly. But anyway, then you see the number is 182 billion in software developer tool revenues for last year. And it's projected to be 250 billion by 2029. And remember, the investments are made on forward revenues, discounting that to today. And you just heard this at the beginning. This is all Railtown data. Cost of poor quality software is $2.5 trillion in the United States. Too bad we haven't focused on it. 40% of engineering dollars are spent on bad code, debugging, and technical debt. And we lose, I don't know if that's in the United States or it's internationally, but the annual GDP loss, 85 billion, because of bad code. And here's some of the backup, which I won't waste your time on, but $1.5 trillion problem, clunky old software, Uber loses money every hour, crashes, software crashes. Here's their business model. As you know, it's for enterprises. It's not, I think Chat GPT and all those are for human beings, but this is for enterprises. It's software as a service. I don't know the meaning of all of this. Data metering, I guess you charge by the widget or something. Per seat, per project, per month, per complaint. I don't know. And then security. They're ready to go on that security issue. It's a proprietary application general intelligence model. Conductor is spelled without that O, so somebody missed that in their proofreading, or this document is before they changed the name. I don't know. Developer productivity engineering, deep application understanding, task automation, adaptive learning, monitoring, and reporting. This chart we don't have to focus on right now because I zoomed in on it, but it's from Sequoia. And what's interesting, you see the gaps where they circled in green? That's where Railtown fits. But you know what's annoying? LangChain is on there. That's what's annoying to me. They have LangChain while we were futzing around with AIP. Here's the conductor. It basically absorbs all information from all different software languages, and it creates a model that understands everything about developing the software. And it's shared across everybody in the company, everybody in the project. Here's Conductor 2, and this backs up, by the way, that I thought they were in the third or fourth iteration. This is 2, and I think the next one is 3. Railtown integrates with all data sources and can streamline, manage, and automate all aspects of development in the continuous integration, continuous deployment, CI/CD. It can understand and respond to information it absorbed, but also can push out data and decisions to the integrations. And they're working toward the complete automation of the entire process. Yeah, here's Conductor 3. So when I say they're maybe on Conductor 4, I might be right. LangChain just got started a couple of years ago. Additional functionality is focused around source code integration, resolve issues more quickly. Conductor will pinpoint root causes. I just want to move on. You can watch the video again. And there's the thank you. Thanks for the memories. Thanks for the memory. All right, I can show you that. Thanks for the memories. Ah. So one of my files isn't showing up. I don't know which one. Anyway, let's just go with what I have here. Here's that chart. And I've got another, we don't even have to focus on this yet because I zoomed in again. But it's a little clearer to see what they're talking about. You've got the incumbents here, the challengers here, and developer tools 2.0 here in this column. Horizontally, you've got your different types of AI and use cases. But in this green square right here, there's nothing. That's just humans. And in this big circle right here, you got nothing. And that's where Railtown's going to be, is how I interpret this. Now, this chart's from Sequoia, but Railtown added this column here to the side, which implies to me that Railtown adds a benefit to all of these users. We'll find out. That would be really exciting if that's what it means. So this is from Sequoia, Developer Tools 2.0. God, they're having a lot of fun over there. This is written by Charlie. I can't quite read it. Cuban, Josephine Shen, and somebody fun on March 27th, 2000 and I can't read that. It might not be recent, but it's interesting for framing what we're talking about. This is from Sequoia. Generative AI, you can find it on their website. Generative AI stands to change how work happens in one industry after another. But software engineering's transformation is not done yet. Copilot has caught lightning in a bottle. GitHub's AI-powered companion for developers, suggesting the code you might want to write next, is a hit in more ways than one. It is beloved by engineers, attracting more than 1 million engineers, I assume, within about a year and delivering a substantial boost in productivity. Even if you're a top engineer, it being GitHub's Copilot, it might write half your code or more. It also stands to become a commercial blockbuster, charging $10 to $19 per seat per month. Copilot could grow to $1 billion or more in annual revenue among GitHub's 100 million users. Now just focus on that just a second. I believe GitHub is now owned by Microsoft. If Railtown is complementary or adds a layer that is a benefit to developers, and they have 100 million users, I don't know if this is a fair comparison. But if Microsoft were to buy Railtown based on metrics, and I would argue they could issue 1% of their stock, tens of billions of dollars. But they could start to charge these numbers or include it in their own software developers' monthly kit. And Microsoft, it's almost financial engineering. They could buy Railtown and then cause the number of users to leap by simply putting Railtown Conductor in the price paid monthly by developers. Just add it in. So whatever Railtown's user base is could stand to go up 10, 20, 30, 40 times in a stroke of a pen, if you understand what I'm trying to say. And I know I'm not quite saying it perfectly. Yeah, all right, so I'm missing. That's what I'm missing, that chart. Let me see if I can find it. I ain't missing you at all. Yeah, that's the one, darn it. They didn't let me take that chart down. Okay. Okay. I was going to show you that chart again, but I have another copy after we finish this. There are many opportunities here. Some founders are iterative, I guess. Some founders are iterative. I have no idea. In editor. Get help while you're conducting coding experience. They're trying to imitate it, I guess. Get help while you're coding experience that Copilot popularized. Try different interaction patterns or different models. Think of Replit's Ghostwriter, SourceGraph's Cody, Tab9, and others. Many other opportunities lie further afield. You might target work engineers do beyond writing code, like debugging and documentation. That's right up Railtown's alley. But they also help with writing code. Or other work engineering organizations do, like incident response. Railtown again. You might think of value propositions other than, quote, write code faster, unquote, like, quote, write code that's more performant or more secure, unquote. What's happening to the English language? That's a tragedy. You might throw out the plugin form factor and rebuild an entire application. You might focus on personas other than the software engineer, like the data scientist who needs a boost in writing in notebooks, or the data analyst toiling away writing SQL queries. There is a wide waterfront of opportunities to explore and many places to hook into developers' workflows. And I think that's what I think Railtown's actually on top of all of them, but we'll find out as time goes by. I sure hope he oh, there's 26. Sorry, so I skipped this one. I was out of sequence. This is 26. Copilot's success has set off a gold rush. Founders have raced to bring the power of large language models to all kinds of other industries, building tools to help professionals write, code, design, and create media. There's a Copilot for lawyers, Copilot for doctors, Copilot for designers, and many more Copilots. These are all exciting directions. We think generative AI, this is what Railtown's doing, stands to transform one industry after another, making all kinds of professionals more effective at work and delighting waves of consumers. But there is a lot more to do for developers. Copilot, which leverages OpenAI's model codex, may be just the opening salvo in AI's transformation of how software engineers work. Andrej Karpathy predicted in 2017 that neural networks would create a new generation of software, Software 2.0, and we may see the same reinvention of the tooling that helps people make software a developer's tool 2.0. This seems to be the area that not quite, it is AI, but this seems more descriptive of Railtown. There are many opportunities here. Some founders are iterating. What a horrible use of the language. Some founders are iterating on the in-editor get help while you're coding experience, Copilot popularized, trying different patterns, and we already went through that. And then this comes next. Other opportunities, we just went through that. Now 28 might be the one that's missing because of that chart. Okay, building legendary companies to enable this won't be easy. Copilot faces legal scrutiny over concerns related to piracy. Well, I don't know. Let's not delve into that. Microsoft, the incumbent with control over both GitHub and VS Code, enjoys significant distribution advantages. Many founders have started building with large language models, making many opportunities competitive. GitHub itself just announced plans to offer broader AI functionality through a brand new version of Copilot powered by GPT-4. But in our view, there's a massive opportunity for AI to transform software engineering. In our view, there's a massive opportunity for AI to transform software engineering. And it's a matter of who, not if. That's where Corey's got to get out of the gates early tomorrow. We want the answer to be Railtown, not LangChain. We think important ingredients in who prevails will be focusing on developer experience, providing net new capabilities, and making strategic choices around how to land and expand in developers' workflows. That describes Railtown exactement. Success here can mean rewriting how engineering happens and having a chance at building a generational company. I agree. But up here, Microsoft is the incumbent with significant advantages. I think Microsoft plucks Railtown before it has a chance to become a unicorn. But we'll still, I imagine that any deal will get stock in Microsoft. It's my idea. No one's told me this. But I have a feeling that, well, I'm telling how I would do it. And maybe it gives away my background in oil and gas and resource plays. But I'd take the stock. I might ask for some cash. You know, we'll take, $25 a share in cash, $50 a share in cash, and the rest in stock. And then we want a piece of the revenue stream. And that would have to be just structured, I guess, as an investment vehicle. But I think it would give us upside as well. And I really think if I have a chance to meet with Corey, I will definitely suggest that to him. But I'm sure he already has thought about it. All right, let's move on to the next Sequoia article. This is an older one. This is 2024 by Sonia Huang and Pat Grady, published June 25. The Compound Lever, AI for Software Engineering. For decades, software has provided the lever to move the world. I don't know if that's an English problem. That sentence doesn't make sense to me. To move the world now, or now AI that, okay, so for decades, software has provided the lever to move the world. Now, stepping up, or now available, the next generation, the next method is AI that can create software. Oh, I guess I'm making it too complicated. I think she wrote it well. For decades, software has provided the lever to move the world. Now AI that can create software is levering that lever. Ugh. The language, the poor language. In the generative AI application landscape, Railtown, a single market category stands out as the Schelling point. Where are your papers? Your papers, please? I have no idea what the Schelling point is. Let me look it up. They want you to know they got their PhD. A Schelling point is a solution to a coordination problem that people will naturally converge on in the absence of communication because it seems unique or special. Coordinate, oh God. So it's just what a large group without any guidance coalesces around. they give the example, famous example is meeting a stranger in New York City. While many places are possible, Grand Central Terminal information booth is a common Schelling point. I find it pointless to go on. Okay, so we now know she went to college. So this stands out as the Schelling point, this single category of this generation's best entrepreneurs. Well, why don't we just say that? Just skip the beginning of that. In the generative AI application landscape, a single category stands out. This generation's best entrepreneurs have gathered and focused their talents on building the AI software engineer. That's where Railtown, right where Railtown is. They happen to be on the Schelling point, and they have Schelling points of their own. There is no shortage of elite teams in this race, and they are approaching the problem from a myriad of angles. From ambitious teams building their own custom cognitive architectures and droids, to researchers building their own foundation models for code, to incumbents who have found a formidable second wind. GitHub. But is this white-hot market worth the hype? Are autonomous software engineers really that magical? Or are engineers just doing what they like to do, building tools for other engineers? We spoke with Matan Grinberg and Eno Reyes of Factory in our latest training data episode to better understand what is at stake. If everything goes right, could autonomous software engineer, she didn't major in English, but she did go to college, and there might be a he involved. Could autonomous software engineers be the killer app for generative AI? Could it usher in a new golden age of technology? The dream. Now she's going to show you she studied philosophy and studied mathematics and went to MIT. The dream, compounding Archimedes' lever. Archimedes famously said, quote, "Give me a lever long enough and a fulcrum on which to place it, and I shall move the world." I hate it when people show you they're educated, but they use the same hackneyed quotes over and over again. For the last several decades, software engineering has been the perfect lever, and that's what she's trying to tell you. This is a lot of leverage, which to me translates into a lot of leverage in revenue and share price as well. For the last several decades, software engineering has been the perfect lever with which to move the world. Thanks to computer programming, we have enjoyed an ever-increasing standard of living. The world's information is searchable at our fingertips. Fast and reliable banking is available anywhere. Fashion and commerce from all over the world can be brought to our doorstep. Medical software that has elevated the standard of living globally is widely available. Matan and Eno challenged us to take this analogy one step further. Software engineering may be the perfect lever with which to move the world, but it is still bottlenecked by supply of talent. There are only 30 million software developers globally with no quick fix. It takes years to train a non-software engineer to become a coder, and by hours. So the bottleneck is supply of talent. It's also hours in the day. It takes time to write code. In other words, we cannot yet create software at the speed of our imagination. AI can create software. And AI that can create software could be the perfect lever on software itself, which in turn is the perfect lever upon the world. In Matan's words, AI has a chance to become the greatest compound lever in human history if we can create an autonomous group. I don't know what she's trying to say here. If we can create autonomous software engineers, I guess it's AI. It's 3:59. I'll try not to go too late because I've got to, well, we'll see. You guys might have comments. We can talk about whatever. Who's the best boy in the whole world? Who is the best boy in the whole world? Okay. Tracking our progress. In order for AI software engineers to become the ideal compound lever, they first need to actually work. We're still a ways off, but things are progressing. It's so helpless at a fast pace. Take, for example, the benchmark for tests that the average human software engineer performs. We've gone from 1% to 4% to 14% to 19% in the last 11 weeks. And they give the chart. So that must be the AI helping. So here's what drives me crazy. And SWE Bench is a very general set of problems drawn from actual GitHub users in popular open source projects. Here's Sequoia selling their own Selinger moment. As Harrison, Chase, and Eno pointed out in our conventions, when you constrain the software engineering problem to a more specific problem space, for example, software testing or code review, the success rates are far greater. In fact, some problem spaces, the success rates already meet the good enough threshold for software engineers. One example is YO by Vercel, which allows anybody to create working front ends using natural language, ranging from calculators to SaaS pricing pages. Other examples use AI coding for use cases from database migrations and code-based refactoring to writing API integrations and ETL pipelines. Implications. With the emergence of AI as a new compound lever, the fulcrum of impact is the poor language, is shifting from learning code to instructing a machine in natural language. I wish somebody would instruct you in English. This means the most critical bottleneck will no longer be the supply of software engineering talent, but the supply of ideas. If AI software engineering fulfills its promise and becomes the ultimate compound lever, then creators with imagination, not developers, may become the scarcest and most valuable resource. We are headed toward a future that is a meritocracy of ideas. Well, we won't need men then. Recursion. The machine that builds the machine. Let's assume that AI is on track to build software autonomously. Can we push the analogy even further? Can AI build the AI and be a compound lever upon itself? There are some encouraging clues that this may be the case. The race to the ARC-AGI prize, the solution in the lead involves generating thousands of Python programs. I guess Python is code. Similarly, DeepMind famously cracked one of the hardest unsolved math problems through code generation and program synthesis. If AI becomes a compound lever upon AI, that will be when things will really get wild. Cue infinite recursions. The path ahead. The industry is quickly building Archimedes' compound lever. We have rapidly scaled from 1% to 19% on the SWE bench. This is a benchmark that understates AI's actual performance on properly scoped coding tasks. And there are a plethora of highly capable teams attacking this problem from multiple angles. That said, open questions remain. How much further? That's interesting. I would have said farther. But no, it should be further, I guess. How much further can the field run on the current generation of foundation models before needing orders of magnitude more powerful models or new techniques like inference time compute? Moreover, do you need to train your own foundation model to build a human quality AI software engineer? What about a Jeff Dean quality software engineer? Is that the sausages? All right, I think this will show up here. Yeah, here's from Sequoia. Over here, it says hosting, where I highlighted it. And that's where we're going to be at first with TELUS. But the development tools 2.0, at least of a year or so ago, it was wide open. That's where Railtown's going in. Now, that brings in the debate, did they wait too long? Well, that's something that Corey's going to have to answer. And then down here, write code and something else, write something else. human beings do it. That's where Corey wants to be. But then this long sort of cigar-shaped thing in yellow, he's trying to help all of that, I think. And down here it says, I think, 2023 right here. So it's a little out of date. But this was created apparently by Railtown. So they haven't had a chance to update it. Here I zoomed in a tiny bit better. It says humans here, and then there's a big gap up there, but you get the point. And you can see GitHub all over it. Up in the hosting, you can see Amazon and Google and Terraform, and you know, it's the same. I think this is the same. I don't think it's any clearer. Oh, this is Railtown created this, and you see where they put Railtown beyond development tools 2.0. That's really exciting to me. If they are sort of supra, they're on top of all of this, or they're engaged with all of it. I'm not, you know, I'm not a technical guy, but that seems pretty huge. That seems big league. All right, I'm going to go back to your questions. And I might end it just so you can get back to your football games. Football. Figure out a paywall as soon as possible, and we'll see who's real. It's a good idea. It's a good idea. I haven't wanted to charge anything, but it's a good idea. Hey, Steve, how are you? And Justin. Yes, Justin, that's exactly right. They are not LLMs. You're exactly right. And that's a good point. They beat that issue of software piracy. I wanted to go down what I thought. There's another article, but I'm not going to read it to you. I wanted to go down what I think is going to come this week. So tomorrow is December 1. I'm hoping Corey comes out of the gates rapidly. So I'm going to guess Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday we'll hear more about TELUS. I'm going to guess that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday we'll hear about the pipeline. Will they do it all in one disgorgement, or will it be spread out? I personally don't care. Just get it out there. And then I think to the extent that those releases are focused on full disclosure that allows buying, I think you could see the capital research report come out Thursday, Friday, or over the weekend. But I'd say by December 8th, you get that research report. And then I think news continues the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th. But is there other research that comes out? I would think so right then. I'm going to guess that we're going to get the annual report next week too, or the full year financials next week. Yeah, I think that's what's coming. And I think you're going to start seeing buying maybe not this week, but the following week, I think you'll start seeing buying. At least that's my theory. I get the concerns, I really do. But I think the buying will come in before the annual meeting. I think at least some people are going to want to get in before the annual meeting. Yeah, that's it. That's it. I think basically between now and the annual meeting, you're going to get news that explains, tell us more fully. The only thing I'm worried about there is I want it to release the restriction on buying. That's all. And then secondly, you're going to start seeing the pipeline that's built up. If my theory is correct, you're going to start seeing if in fact there has been. Have they been working? And that'll be great. Thirdly, I think you're going to start seeing research, starting with capital research, but then maybe Canaccord, and where you'll see revenue projections. Fourthly, I think you just continue with revenue deals, ES, enterprise sales agreements. I don't know if they'll discuss that revenue, but it'll keep flowing. And then I think you're going to see an updated corporate presentation, which will be great. And maybe we'll see institutional buying, or at least Canadian buying that has been prevented from buying starting next week. And then you have the annual meeting. And I think with that, at 4:15, I'm going to sign off. Tomorrow could be really good. It could be exciting. If you haven't added to your position of Railtown, you haven't established a position of Railtown, or if you're just holding, I think we're going to start to see tomorrow the firming in the price, and they'll try to hurt it. They'll try to hurt it. They always do. I could show you this other article. 4:15. No, I'm not going to do it because I'm feeling a bit tired, a bit peckish. So anyway, they'll try tomorrow. But if you can buy this stock in the next few days or add to your position, this is your last chance, in my judgment. I understand that it's been painful. I understand that perhaps there's some questions lingering about why didn't this AI deal get done, and there may be some concerns. Well, did we miss an opportunity? I don't think we have, and at least the deal is now done, and now we get to see Corey in action, which is letting us know the story, letting us know the pipeline, letting us know the revenues, and engaging with institutions. So I think it's going to be exciting for the next 12 trading days, and that might be our year for Railtown. John Croissant sent me something on platinum. I do want to talk about what's coming around next year as we come into the first quarter. I think gold, silver, platinum, oil and gas less so, but I think resources are going to be private equity is going all over oil and gas, but I don't know about the price of oil and gas. So I want to start talking about all that again, and maybe there'll be some opportunities in the first quarter to participate. And I do have to follow up on our little gold company. I made a list. we have about 30 people in it. And, you know, I just got to go through and see if I have everybody's phone number, and I'll go through that next week. But for now, I'm going to sign off. Good luck. Have fun with your football games and enjoy the rest of your Thanksgiving leftovers. Peace to each of you.